Welcome to the Layin the Body podcast. I'm Terrence.
And I'm Lucas.
And we are the place to be for head rush and shots of hockey. We are back after a little week break. Sorry.
Yeah, just a little week
that.
of absence. We had some technical difficulties on our end. So.
Yeah, a little bit of the footage deleted from last week. We did make our attempt to make it a weekly, but unfortunately it just didn't work out. Like half of our podcast deleted for last week.
But it's all good. We're back here.
It's all good. We're
with
back.
A new episode. So
fortunately, a little bit of the footage was saved of us talking about the big trade that happened last week, the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, which is good. So we will put that in there as well. We had some pretty good pointers on that. But we want to say thank you for joining in on this. I mean, really appreciate it. Even though we missed a week, everyone that's tuning in still, thank you. We will try our best to make weekly content for you and make sure that you can get that a weekly dose of hockey that you guys all desire. And again, thank you. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you like this episode. Yeah.
So with that being said, let's get right into it.
A big trade went down, didn't it?
Indeed, it did. Pierre-Luc Dubois is heading up north. He's going to Winnipeg.
He's going to the Columbus of Canada.
Yeah, pretty much. And interesting switch.
I would say it's a good trade.
I think it's a fair trade overall. The trade.
It's a blockbuster of a trade. I mean. Well,
pretty
much, Pierre-Luc Dubois goes to Winnipeg with a third-round pick for Jack Roslovic and Patrick Laine. Now, this trade is very interesting because all the three players in the deal were not happy in their specific situation on their team. Jack Roslovic made it very clear that he was not going to play for Winnipeg ever again and was holding out of his RFA contract. Patrick Laine made it pretty decently clear that he had no future with Winnipeg after his contract.
Yeah, but instead of holding out, he decided to play and just get it over with. But Pierre-Luc Dubois, I mean, the other night he proceeded to play only 3 minutes and 57 seconds of the first period before getting benched for the rest of the game, not seeing another shift. People were speculating if it was an injury or an illness in the middle of the game, but no, in fact, Tortorella was not happy with it, and he benched him. He didn't even let him on the bench.
And that was the last of Pierre-Luc Dubois in a Columbus sweater. And this is a pretty good trade. I mean, like, you could consider these guys locker room distractions when you could think like Pierre-Luc Dubois on the bench, being benched for the whole game, is a pretty distraction for the other players on the bench. You could say that for other players too on Winnipeg, like Roslovic, like Laine. They were distractions, and you have to get those people out of your organization.
Yeah, I'd agree for sure.
I feel like even though that, I'll let you speak.
No, you're good. I feel like you gotta look at the nitty gritty of the trade, and Columbus. Most of the time when you look at these blockbuster trades, you don't often see a number one center on a team going for a number one winger on a team. In this case, you do.
That makes sense.
It's interesting because Columbus' center depth is really depleted right now.
Mm-hmm.
Got a bunch of decent, okay guys.
I mean, like Jack Roslovic can maybe fill that spot, but I mean, he signed a 2-year deal, $1.9
million,
right when he got traded.
So if he's got himself a home, Laine will probably re-sign at the end of the season.
Hopefully,
I would imagine
Panarin. I mean,
yeah, I can't imagine him leaving at the end of the season now that he's found himself a home with Roslovic. But when you look at the Jets side of things, it's very it's interesting. I feel
like it's not that because Roslovic, they weren't going to play with him ever again. I mean, he was never going to play with Winnipeg again. He made that very clear. Laine, he made it pretty decently clear that he was not going to have a future in Winnipeg. So I feel like getting a disgruntled Pierre-Luc Dubois on that team, good old Canadian boy, will get them a spark. I mean, a lot of good teams need that good center depth, and I feel
they have for sure.
Yeah, I know.
You got Scheifele in there. You got
Scheifele,
Dubois.
Brian Little. I mean, all those guys are very good. You got Andrew Kopp, I know, is in there, who's been pretty good. I mean,
and your wingers aren't even that bad. You got Ehlers, you got Kyle Connor.
I know, so I feel like shoving Dubois in there is just going to add that more center depth,
like
and those stud teams usually have great center depth. So it's good to see, like, they're going to bolster their center depth. And then Columbus, doesn't really have that high-powered scorer, but like you said, they did lose the center depth with Dubois. But
that's not really their team, though. Their team has never been about, since Panarin left, their team has never been about high-scoring, potent offense. I would say like the Islanders, like game.
Now they got two solid players, one really good scorer in Patrick Laine, who could very well
one of the best shots in the league,
which could very well put up great points for this team. And I would say this is a good trade for everyone involved. I mean, not because of the value aspect, but because of like releasing their distractions and their quote unquote cancers in the organization.
Yeah, and in a way, I mean, you can look at it both ways, but Winnipeg definitely.
I feel like
you were gonna have to pay Laine no matter if he did stay.
Let's say a lot of money.
You'd have to pay him a lot of money. Dubois under a 2-year deal. You don't have to worry about that cap crunch
until in 2 years, which Winnipeg is gonna have to worry about very soon. They've been in a cap crunch for a minute,
but for now they'll be able to get through
I feel like this will catapult them to
maybe a playoff berth
because they got a Vezina caliber goaltender in Hellebuck.
For sure,
they got a rising young defense with Sami Niku and Neil Pionk with all these guys. We already know about the great offense. He just lost Laine, but you still got Scheifele, Wheeler.
Ehlers, Kyle Connor, Dubois.
Now Dubois.
You have a very good top six.
That's very good.
So, my question for you, who won this trade in your opinion?
In my opinion, I would say if you're looking at it for... It's tough because I feel like both of them are... It's pretty fair, but I would give it to
say for the
Columbus. I would say give it to Columbus. As you weren't playing... Dubois was being benched. And here's the thing. Dubois was being benched. He wasn't going to play anymore. You just had to get it out. And you got great value back for him in Laine and Roslovic. I mean, I feel like that's great. Just to add to their top six. And as much as I like Dubois, I mean, he hasn't really shown me, even though Laine's been underperforming, he hasn't shown me Laine numbers ever.
I would agree with that.
And I feel like Laine could jump in and be very, very good. Because... yeah, they lost Dubois, but I mean, like, looking at this Columbus roster, like, they're not that bad. It's just, like, it's not the best situation to be in when you have, like, distractions or cancers, but it's good to, like, shake it off.
Yeah, I'm sure. Tortorella will get them going, though. Overall, their team will be fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even though they lost Dubois, they still, like, they don't have, like, really the big center depth, but they still got the wingers. They still got the wingers like Gustav Nyquist, like, and all of them. And then you can move Max Domi to center. You got Alex Texier, who could also be center, but he's tend to be a wing. Texier's been a very good young player for this team. And now Roslovic can play center. You still got those good old veteran centermen like Koivu, Riley Nash, who are good with face-offs. And I mean, the team is pretty good. I mean, it's good to see that the Columbus Blue Jackets got like their cancer and distraction out of the lineup, because you would think like all the players were looking that.
Yeah, it's a cancer that goes around the locker room, and it's good that they finally got that out.
Yes. So I would say that Columbus indeed won this deal, but it's very close. I do like it on the end for Winnipeg too, as there's two people that you were probably not going to get back, and you got someone back for an extra year.
Yeah, and it helps them with the cap crunch, because it's going to be interesting to see how that plays.
It's going to be interesting, and now like I feel like they got like a good 2-year window now, as with Pierre-Luc Dubois and that new contract that he just signed. It's going to be very interesting on how the Blue Jackets and Winnipeg Jets do in the upcoming weeks.
And now on to our next segment, Terrence. I mean, let's go over some highs and lows for the NHL week so far.
Yeah, so even though we missed a week, I mean, that was just the beginning of the season, like the forefront of the season.
Yeah, it was tough to gauge. Now we kind of have a better idea where teams are standing.
Teams are like 7 to 8 games into the season, except for a couple teams that had a little bit of COVID issues.
That's fun.
Yeah, but, I mean, we can get a good gauge now what teams are given to the table and how good teams are doing and how bad teams are doing and how we can maybe rank them.
So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first with my high?
I'd say you go first. Come on.
Okay, so you want me to start with a high or a low?
You know what? What do you think? Like, I think we'll end with the lows. Let's go with the high.
We'll start with the highs. Montreal Canadiens, after 7 games, they're 5-0-2. One of the only 2 teams currently undefeated in regulation. I'm not. Yes, I know Florida and Dallas are still, but I'm not counting those two. Those two have barely played any games, like 3 games so far with the COVID. Montreal's been fantastic. Tyler Toffoli has been god tier at this point.
I mean, what a great signing in that offseason.
Couldn't ask for a better signing.
And to be honest, I was a little bit skeptical of that Josh Anderson trade at the beginning of the season.
But it's working out so far.
No, it's working out.
Playing fantastic.
I've always loved Josh Anderson. I've always thought he was under the radar in Columbus. And Columbus, he was just great in that system. He's a good power forward, good big body, goes towards the net, and he's producing with 4 goals, 1 assist, 5 points in 7 games.
And the crazy part is the entire team, it's very good in terms of depth scoring, but if you
they're
look,
very young and very good.
But you have 4 players going a point a game or better. You have Tyler Toffoli with 9 points, and these are all through 7 games. Jeff Petrie, 8 points.
He's so underrated.
8 points, but Suzuki has a 7-game point streak, and this kid is a stud. And like you're about to get into, Jeff Petrie is very under the radar.
Jeff Petrie is so underrated. I think he's a very good defenseman. People overlook him in this team. He's not very well known, but he is a great offensive defenseman, great defenseman in total. 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. I love myself a Jeff Petrie, and he's been there in Montreal for a good amount of time now, and he's never gets the recognition that he deserves, and he's finally putting up the good points and the good value
and hey,
for this team.
He's a +8, so, I mean, it's very, very early, not a prediction, but if you were to give me a front run for the Norse, I mean, Jeff Petrie's, I think, your standout at this point.
I mean, I really like Jeff Petrie. I think for a Norris candidate...
I mean, he's up there, though. He's up there for sure.
But yeah, he is, but... That's what I like. I do love a Jeff Petrie, but no one's going to give him the recognition because it's Jeff Petrie.
Yeah, of course.
But I do love myself a Jeff Petrie. I would love him on my team any day.
But hey, a great start through 7 games, 8 points, and a +8.
And I wish that the Islanders signed Toffoli. We will get into that.
We'll get into that later when we hit our lows. But Terrence, give me a team that you would say is at a high right now.
At a high, if I had to choose a team at a high, I'm going to stay in that division. Actually, I'm going to go with Toronto. Even though Toronto I do not have the best type of... I do not like the Toronto Maple Leafs that much for particular reasons.
Yeah, the reasons we all can agree on.
But the team is amazing. The team is just playing great. They're on I think a 4-game win streak, if I'm not mistaken. 4-game win streak right now. They beat Edmonton twice. They beat Calgary twice, and they're just on fire right now, and they are just putting the puck on net. They're gonna do everything. They're gonna play Freddie Anderson's playing really good,
and their defense finally coming together.
Yeah, I mean but the real man of the show this year, Mitch Marner, 13 points in 9 games played, leading the league in points at the moment. This kid is fine. We knew he was good, but who would think that he was this good, leading the league in points, right?
Yeah, for sure. Mitch Marner is a stud ever since he came into the league. But he's had pretty good years prior, but this is definitely his breakout year.
And then look, the $40 million players, they're all pitching in.
Yeah, they're all right behind him.
They got Matthews with 9 and 8, Tavares with 8 and 9, Nylander with 8 and 9, Morgan Riley with 7 and 9. I mean, they do struggle getting that depth scoring, but you don't need depth scoring when your top players are putting up that, and your save percent and your goalie is putting up good numbers all the time. Even though the save percentage isn't that high, Freddie Anderson will give you a good showing every game. And this team is gelling together at a good time. Don't get me wrong; they're not versing the top cream of the crop opponents, especially in that North Division.
Well,
they're not playing the cream.
Even at that, they haven't even played their top opponents yet. Again, Montreal being right below them, they have yet to. They played them.
They played them in the first game of the season, and then they went to OT. And Toronto ended up.
But you know what I mean. They've only played 4 different opponents. They've got a couple. They got to play the Jets still. You got to get into it.
They played the Jets. They won 3-1 against the Jets.
Fault.
But yeah, like you said, they still got to play Montreal. This team, they still got to play Montreal more. They still got to...
Vancouver.
There's still a long season.
It's a long season, but so far a good start for sure.
Very good start for Toronto. I like how they're playing. As much as I do not like the team because of obvious reasons. No, I don't even say I hate the team. I just
hate the player.
That's just there's one player. But but this team's very, very good. And there's a reason why they're at the top of the Scotian North. Okay, give me one more high, Lucas. Give me one more high that you think is a high.
I'm going to give you a high right now?
Yeah, give me a high.
Yeah, I can give you a high. Dallas Stars, I get it. They've only played 4 games, but they're a plus 13, 4-0, and this team is
one of the only undefeated teams.
Yeah, this team is doing fantastic.
They're the only undefeated team.
Yeah, at this point in time, they have been spot on. Their power play is clicking right back to where they left off last season, and there's not. I'm gonna make it short and sweet. There's not much to say about the Stars. They're fantastic all around the board. They're not getting the depth scoring, but you know what? Their defense is playing fantastic.
Joe Pavelski.
Yeah, Pavelski's back. Pavelski's back to his prime time. And hey, Denis Gurianov, what people were saying, like, one-hit wonder last year in the playoffs.
No, I knew Denis Gurianov was going to be very good. He has the skills, he has the hands, he has the hockey IQ, the Russian-born boy. Yeah, I was waiting for him to break out, and this season... Again, small sample size, only 4 games.
But he's doing well.
He has 7 points.
And guess what? This team, my biggest flaw for this team is their offensive production isn't there. They have more production from their defense than they are at this point from their depth scores. I don't see Jamie Benn.
But here's the thing. Tyler Seguin is injured.
Yeah.
Jamie Benn has been injured. So... Jamie Benn's only played 1 game, but like with Jamie Benn and Seguin out, they are playing some good hockey.
Yeah. Could definitely rank them in the top for sure.
Pavelski with 9 points in 4 games. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's been on
4 goals, a goal a game, 5 assists. What? Like, this guy's going nuts. And John Klingberg on the back end. Rupe Hintz with only 2 games played has 5 points. Radulov's doing his own thing, point per game. Miro Heiskanen, who I love on the back end, playing amazing with 4 points. Miro Heiskanen, this is just a great, just sound defensive team.
Not much you could say bad about the Dallas Stars, and not much you could say otherwise.
This team is just like a very good, solid team, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like, people, like, I saw people undermining them this year, but like, look at this. Like, you have of course, Jake Glass Bishop. Not Jake. What am I talking about? Bishop is just. Bishop is injured, like always, but this is why they re-signed Hudobin. Hudobin has a below 1 goals against average and a .958 save percentage in 3 games played. Yeah,
he's on fire, and
he's like having a late career renaissance right now.
Yeah, as a Stars fan, I don't think anyone can complain. Dallas Stars are doing fantastic, but you know what? I know someone else that doesn't anymore, but that had a below 1 goal against average game.
Is this how we're going into it?
Yeah, that's how we're going into it.
No, I don't want to go into it.
No, but we're going to go into it. I don't want to. Semyon Varlamov. The Islanders, I don't know what
Okay, so happened. you want to give one of our lows?
We're going straight into the lows. Yeah.
Okay, one of our lows is the New York Islanders, guys.
They can sit at the bottom at this point. They're 0-3 in their past 3 games, and again,
we've struggled. They
started out 3-0. Sorry, 3-1.
3-1.
This team had a poor showing against the Devils, 2-0 loss. Fine, shake it off. You play Washington. You play a fantastic game. Barzal, the entire team is doing great. Got 2-2 in the final 30 seconds. You choke it. Okay, you drop 1, if not 2 points there. Washington, you're up 3-0 after the first period. You are arguably the best defensive team in hockey with a lead and the dreaded 3-goal lead right back. You guys lose 6-3. If I'm Trotz, how do you bounce back?
Taze was doing bird in the stands in that game, I saw.
Yeah, just he was doing it on the video board all the way from Colorado.
He was doing it in Colorado, and you see, that's why they fucking came back.
Yeah.
But it's, I would say that, I just think that it's a rough stretch. Again, I've been saying this whole time, it's early. It's very early still. But
they gotta bounce back.
It's very hard not to be pessimistic about the team's play of recent.
Well, especially when you're only playing divisional opponents and you've lost 3 straight in regulation. That's 6 points to opponents. You can't really go on a losing streak like that.
You can't. The Islanders sit at the second to last in the new East Division that they got right now, and it's not looking good for them. It is not.
It's still early.
It's still early, like I said, but I mean. I think they've only had 2 dominant games in their wins. That is against the Rangers in the first game of the season and the first time they versed the Devils. That's the only time I would say that they have had dominant wins or dominant performances. The second game of the season against the Rangers, awful.
No one showed up.
Although they did beat Boston with a shutout, they were not. They were being dominated. It was just a great performance by Varlamov, and they got a lucky goal.
And then, if you want to go to the other Devils game when they lost 2-0, I'm gonna say flat out, the Islanders are not helping Sorokin. If any Islander fan wants to blame Sorokin or the defense for that loss, listen, it's a beautiful snipe by Jack Hughes on the power play.
Yeah,
Pelech lost his
goals.
stick, and it's 2 goals. But that's the story of the Islander season. If you take out that one horrific game against the Rangers when we lost 5-0, not one of these games has been where the team just hasn't showed up. It's always been where, like in this Devils game, the defense and the goaltending show up, but the offense doesn't want to peek its head out. Yes. Or in the Capitals game, we're up 3-0. Best defensive team in hockey. And
Varlamov just puts up a stinker.
Varlamov is looking like basically how I'll put it is the Islanders' defense and Semyon Varlamov in that game with a 3-0 lead. We looked like we did a couple seasons ago under the Doug Weight, Jack Capuano defensive era, and it's frustrating. It
is frustrating because I mean, like we're allowed to have bad games, but not in a time like this, especially
and not like that.
Like after. You got a talking to by Trotz in the game before.
When you lose with 30 seconds left.
Yeah. You start off great.
You couldn't have asked for a better start. Wahlstrom's getting his first goal. You're getting depth scoring. Zizekas gets a goal. Wahlstrom gets a goal. Lee gets a goal.
Power play goal.
All lines are humming.
They are. And then you just collapse.
And the best part is,
Lucas went to go take a poop, and then it was 5 goals.
Yeah, it wasn't even... Literally, I left with about 13 minutes left in the second period. It wasn't even the whole period.
It was a shower and a poop.
It was literally with from the 13-minute mark to like the 3-minute mark left in the second period. I left to go to the bathroom and take a shower. It was 3-0. I was like, this game's it's fine. I can take a shower. No, I come back and it's 5-3. I literally I turned off the TV and turned it back on and changed the channel because I thought it was like a game from last year. I was freaked out, and as most Islander fans were, I was pretty angry.
I was very.
And you didn't even watch the game. You got the score updates.
No, I did not watch the game because I just couldn't. I watched the first period, and then I had to eat dinner for the second period, and then I just didn't watch it. And then, I saw my phone blow up, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, Chara got his first. I mean, that's a good story, right?
Well, the story is a story, but hey, let's look at this. As an Islander fan, got through the bad. Let's look at the silver linings in this, if we can find any. Noah Dobson playing fantastic. He's got a goal and 4 assists. He's becoming the defenseman that we thought that he was going to. He's limiting the turnovers, playing smart defensive hockey, and that's what Trotz needs him to do, and that's where he's going to succeed in the NHL.
I agree. Also a silver lining. Walsh, that third line was very good the whole game.
That's with the line I've been saying
Peugeot,
for the whole season.
That's how we should.
That's what we should start the season. When Bo comes back, he'll slot into back on the second line.
Take out Komarov.
Oh, I hate him so much. And $3 million in cap that we could cut. But one other silver lining.
We aren't putting up good depth. Like usually our team. The Islanders run a four-line hockey, four-line rotation, and everyone chips in. It looks like the only person really chipping in is Matthew Barzal.
Yeah, he's got 3 goals and 4 assists.
Dobson is playing very, very good. I'm very excited about that.
I can't complain with Lee. If I got to tell you the 2 people, I know Beauvillier is injured, so I'm going to cut him some slack for but he was
Josh
horrible.
Bailey, what are you doing?
And to be honest with you, Brock Nelson too. He's got 2 goals in 7 games. That's it. And Josh Bailey has 1 assist. For the second, yes, I know Beauvillier is injured, but for the second line, that was arguably one of the most dominant lines in the playoffs last year.
But
they have a combined 4 points.
But even in 5 games that Beauvillier had played, he only had 1 assist.
But that's my point. So 1 assist. They have a combined 2 goals and 2 assists
for 4 points.
That is
5
horrible.
games.
That is together. That is horrible, and they got to fix it. And in my eyes, Varlamov's going to get the start tonight, and because he needs a bounce back game
against the Flyers. Okay, do you think the Islanders will put up a bounce back game tonight?
I think they put up a bounce back game tonight.
That's what we hope.
I truthfully think. Listen, when they lost 3-2, I thought it was going to happen, and they did. They put up a bounce back game, and then they completely fell apart. That's.
But here's the thing. This is what we said the last game. We said Barry will not let them lose again.
Well, guess what?
Do you think Barry will let them lose this game?
No. Trust me on this one.
Do you think
not gonna happen?
It is for sure a win for the New York Islanders tonight in Philly?
Just like my sweatshirt reads right now, prove people wrong. Guess what? For the Islanders,
I like that saying.
This
I love
is
that
the night that the Islanders bounce back and
I love that sweatshirt.
I
agree.
back.
You know what? I like to agree.
You know what? I'm gonna give a bold statement. They come back and they win tonight and tomorrow in regulation. They will put up
both of them in regulation.
I think that they're gonna blank
and then
the
they're
Flyers.
back in.
Yeah, I think that they're going to stun the.
Do you think Sorokin will get his first win?
I think Varlamov plays tonight, gets back on track, and I think Sorokin's going to get his first win tomorrow. I think the Islanders finally put something together and get to head home on a 2-game winning streak and come back where most desperately needed.
Remember, guys, believe.
Believe, capital L, capital I. So, straying away from the Islanders for a little bit.
Yeah, we need to get away from it.
Could you give me another low?
Another low for you. I will give you another low. And that is the Edmonton Oilers. Now,
they've been pretty bad.
They are. I'm going back to the Scotia North, which they got 2 very good highs, and then a couple lows. Like Ottawa was already expected to be a low, so I'm not going to bring them in there. But
yeah, Calgary's a low, but
a low there is the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, they are. People have them as playoff hopefuls.
Yeah,
and so they are 3-6. They're 3-6 in 9 games, only 6 points, -7 goal differential, and this team is just. They do have McDavid and
Draisaitl carrying them,
with 14 and 13 points respectively in 9 games. That's nuts.
To be honest, they're getting decent depth. Hopkins has 7 points. Darnell Nurse has 7 points. Yamamoto has 6 points. But the minute right after Yamamoto, it just falls off a cliff. Everyone's at 1 or 2 points. And that's been the Edmonton Oilers story for years since he came into the league.
They just do not have the depth scoring. And I do like Kyler Yamamoto. He is a very good young player. He is, like, I've talked about him in previous episodes.
You have.
And I'm very high on Kyler Yamamoto. I do love Kyler Yamamoto. And his speed and his ability just to draw people away with the puck and find the open man. I mean, you could see that with how good he's doing, and you could say it with he's playing with Draisaitl, McDavid, but still he's a good young player.
Yeah.
Puljujarvi's playing with them, and he has 2 assists.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's it. And then also. A big problem is goaltending. Mikko Koskinen
has been atrocious.
What are you, I'm still baffed by Peter Chiarelli doing that deal. That was I think the last deal he did before he got fired, and good riddance, because the man signed this guy to a $4 million plus deal for a couple years, for 3 years I think, and he now has a goals against average of 3.5 and a save percentage of 9.895. Are you kidding me?
That's really bad, yeah.
That's awful. Their defense was never the best. They signed Tyson Barrie. They still have a couple of good pieces, but their defense was never good. It was never good.
Yeah, it's bad. If you're an Oilers fan, you've been hearing this for a while, but listen, McDavid and Draisaitl, it's been proven they can carry you pretty far, and they could even carry you to the playoffs. But
you need more than that in a hockey team.
You need something on defense or in goal.
You need something in defense and goal. That's what I'm saying. You need that. You need that defense. You need something. I feel like they should have went further after Holtby in this offseason. Even though Holtby isn't really the creme of the crop, he's so much better than Koskinen. I can't. Holtby.
He's atrocious.
Holtby is not. It's not that good, but I mean, he can put up. He can put up solid. He isn't the Vezina caliber goalie that you would get him. But he's not having the best of seasons either. He has a 3.717 goals against average and a .906 save percentage. But that's still better than Koskinen. It's someone who has experience more than Koskinen. It's someone that can maybe be a good person in the locker room more than Koskinen. And I feel like they should have went after a goalie more. I don't know why they trusted so much in Koskinen. But the Oilers is just one of my lows, as the team is just not playing. Their offense is doing good. Their defense is not, though. And they got some good players in the prospect pool. It's just this team I don't know what's up with them, but they like ruin all their prospects. It's ridiculous.
Except for McDavid or Draisaitl.
McDavid or Draisaitl. Tyler Yamamoto's coming into his own.
Yeah.
But Jesse Puljujarvi, he was a top 3 pick.
Neil
Yakupov, like all these guys. Nugent Hopkins was a number 1 pick, but Nugent Hopkins, like you don't get this from a number 1 pick. What he's been doing, like I don't know what's up with this team, but they need to get it together very quickly, or else they're going to be a bottom feeder with us, the best player in the league, with probably two of the top 5 players in the league in their starting roster, and like they're gonna be not in the playoffs, and they're gonna be in some cap crunch.
It's gonna be bad. So I gotta ask, let's go into a new segment. Give me your top performing player of this week.
Of this week?
Give me someone that really stood out to you.
Someone that really stood out to me. Now, I've been very looking at it. I mean, unfortunately, I haven't been looking at hockey as much as I probably should at the moment, because I mean, I've had a lot of stuff on me. Like, that isn't any excuse, but I've been watching hockey diligently like I usually have. So if I had to choose someone, it's tough because there's so many people that I really do like, but I'm going to bring someone out right now that I've said so much about, and we're talking about surprising, right?
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, he's...
Quinn Hughes on this high-flying offense as a defenseman in his second year has 11 points in 10 games played.
Yeah.
1 goal, 10 assists. He is on fire. No one thought that he would be this good of an offensive defenseman, and he's been leading so many, like, he's leading in defensive points right now. This guy is a beast. And, like, no one would like I said, no one would think he'd be this good. Vancouver isn't doing the best, but this is a very, very good sign for years to come, and for this year, that this kid is the real deal.
They have a lot of studs on that team. I wouldn't be worried if I'm a Canucks fan.
Yeah, I would not.
So
what about you?
I'll give you one. You've said so much about him. We've said a lot about him on this show. Kirill the Thrill. Kaprizov. This kid. Yeah, listen. He only has 7 points so far, but this kid has been lighting it up. The goals and the things that he is trying. When you're as a rookie, you don't often get many rookies that have the confidence that he does, to be able to, the will to try certain things that he's doing in a game. Like, there was a video of him in practice flipping, going behind the net, and instead of pulling the Svechnikov or the Michigan, whatever you want to call it, he flipped it over the net and batted it out of midair. Like, he has the audacity, he has all this will and just the mindset to go out and do these crazy things, and he's having fun. Just like Beauvillier last year.
That's the big part of it. Like,
if you're having fun,
you're playing in the game, then yeah.
And it shows with him. He's been on fire. He's cooled off the past game or two, but guess what? He's still doing great. Not much you can say about it.
Another guy that we mentioned before, Tyler Toffoli, someone who's been lighting it up.
Yeah, I thought about choosing him.
Tyler Toffoli.
He's been
another guy that that's had like a late career renaissance again. I feel like this guy has a bad year, then a good year, then another bad year, then a good year. Andrei Kopitar on the LA Kings. We always knew that he is really good, but he has 8 games played. He has 1 goal. Okay, like you would think, like
it's horrible, yeah.
11 assists.
Yeah, he's been on fire.
In 12 points in 8 games played. This guy, Kopitar, goes in and out of very good and not good. Every year he has a season where he does good, bad, then good again, then bad again. I mean, I remember 2017-18. He had 35 goals, 57 assists, 92 points. After that, everyone would think like, okay, he's back to prime Andrei Kopitar. In 81 games, 22 goals, 38 assists, 60 points.
Still not a bad showing, but
not what he was. The season after that, 70 games played, 21 goals, 41 assists, 62 points. Again, running under the radar after a bad season.
Almost a point a game right there.
And then right now, he's back high up in top 5 in points this year. And this guy, I love Kopitar's game. Great two-way player. Great player that I always love to watch, and he's just. I just love myself some Anze Kopitar. I love to see him do good. I love to see. I watched him back in his Cup days. He was very good. I've always loved Anze Kopitar and how he plays, and it's good to see him doing well on the team.
Yeah, so now we gave the highs. Straying away from the personal level of the game, getting into the power rankings for this week before we end this, can you give me your top five?
Top five.
Top five teams of this week. Give me your power rankings.
I would say, so the top five, I had the Islanders in my top five last week.
Yeah, so did I. We both had them in five. So, but, you could argue bottom five at this point. Pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not. But at the top, I'm going to say Vegas again.
Okay.
I'm going to say Vegas. Second, I'm going to have Toronto. Third, I'm going to have Dallas. Because of the games played, I think they should be around there. But fourth, I'm going to have Washington. And then fifth, I'm going to have Montreal.
It's fair. I think that's fair overall.
I just think like the fact that the Washington beat so many teams without their studs and without their starting goaltender, especially the Islanders twice.
Yeah, Vitek Vanacek has been pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, the fact that they did that, they deserve a top 5 spot in the power rankings.
And I like how you put East. Dallas at 3. It's they're a team to watch out for. Mm-hmm. But I see
still
Tampa.
Think Vegas is
Tampa, you dropped Tampa out of the top 5.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess because I haven't really seen a lot of them. That's the thing. Like when you don't play for a lot, it's hard to really gauge like where they are. I've seen these teams play recently that I've just mentioned, and they've been on fire.
That's fair. That's fair.
So next week, if Tampa ends up playing a lot more, ends up getting up there again, then I feel they're going to be in my top 5. But all I know is in the bottom 5 right now is the New York Islanders.
Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely.
Okay, what are your top 5, Lucas?
Top 5. Starting at 1, I like the Montreal Canadiens.
You putting Canadiens at 1.
I had them, I think, at 4 last week. Montreal is lights out at the moment, so I got to give it to them. I'm going to give 2 to Vegas. Not many flaws in their game. They've been lighting it up. I had them at 1 last week, but I felt like they...
Montreal going up.
I like it. I like it. It's tough. I'm going to go with... It's so hard. Not really. I wouldn't really choose anyone in the Honda West.
Again, it's still early in the season. It's still hard to.
That's project. Fair. Boston Bruins, number 3. They're 5-1-1.
Boston.
And Pastrnak is set to return. I think they said within 2-3 weeks at maximum.
They're gonna be lights out. I'm gonna be scared.
Yeah, I am too as an Islander fan. Number 4, gonna give it to Dallas again. Love them up there, and they're gonna continuously do good things. For that 5th spot. I'm going to give it to Toronto. I don't want to do it. They play a lot more games than everyone.
Toronto's very good. And don't get me wrong, Toronto is so good.
It's tough. There's other teams that I could argue. Obviously, Washington.
Philly.
Philly. Even at Colorado or the Wild. Like, they've been playing great. But I got to give it, even though they played more games.
Toronto has been lights. They're 7-2-0. You can't argue that. You
cannot argue it. That's a great start to the year, especially in a shortened season. Off and running. For the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that was our power rankings.
And I think anything else that you want to say?
I think we're good. I think we're going to end it on there.
I think we're good, yeah.
So that's going to be this week's episode of the Layin the Body podcast.
Again, guys, sorry that we missed last week. Some technical difficulties, but we will try our best again to give you weekly content and weekly hockey videos and podcasts so that you guys can... And if you guys want to ask any questions or comments on the video, just put in the comments down below, and we will try and answer them, and hopefully we can get some good insight on what you guys think are your power rankings or what you guys think are your top highs and lows of the season so far for teams. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'm Terrence.
And I'm Lucas.
And we will see you in the next one. Sayonara.